En la Universidad Autónoma de Occidente somos wow.
Somos calidad.
Y tú eres la razón de este proceso de excelencia. Somos tecnología, que garantiza la proyección de tus ideas.
Somos innovación y emprendimiento.
Y estamos felices de acompañarte en la creación de tu proyecto de vida.
Somos inclusión.
Sabemos que la educación es para todos. Una mezcla de ideas, cultura y sentimientos que nos dan una mirada, como la tuya. Somos responsables con el medio ambiente y así puedas impactar a tu entorno. Somos personas enamoradas de lo que hacemos. Somos como tú. Somos wow.
Welcome to Wow Speaks English, a radio program made by students for the world.
Hello everybody. Welcome to Wow Speaks English. My name is Diana Toro, your hostess, and I'm very glad to tell you that today we're having a special collaboration with Universidad Distrital, Francisco José de Caldas. And we have a special conductors coming from that university or connected from that university in this moment. I want to introduce them to you. And they are Professor Diego Ubaque, Professor Yeltsin Gomez, and Professor Ángel Cortés. Hello guys, how's it going?
Hi Dianita, how are you doing? Thanks for such sweet introduction, and I'm glad to be here with you. I'm really excited about this special edition we're having today with you, in which we're going to be talking about gender diversities. Thanks a lot for the invite and for having us here today.
We're very proud to have this kind of collaboration and this kind of synergy and articulation with different universities, and definitely with your seedbed. So welcome, Diego, and thank you for your proposal. I want to tell you guys a little bit about Professor Diego. He is an English teacher and a teacher educator who currently works at Universidad Distrital, Francisco José de Caldas. But not only that, he is a junior researcher and the director of the group of research student-centered seedbed called Internautas, Contextos y Prácticas. So thank you very much, Diego, for your participation. You want to tell us a little bit more about you?
I'm a father myself. I'm married. I love dogs. And the reason like to be here today is, as we were speaking before being live, is to speak about something which we are very passionate about, and like something we really need, we think needs to be spoken up in the air with more people. And I guess little by little during the session, you're gonna be like getting to know me a little bit more. So just be ready to ask any question you want.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And our second conductor is Yeltsin Gomez. And Yeltsin is an English pre-service teacher at Universidad Distrital, Francisco José de Caldas. And she is also a social communicator and student of the master's degree in applied linguistics at Pontificia Universidad Javeriana in Bogota. Her research interests come from the challenges that she has faced as a trans woman and her intention to raise awareness upon the realities and voices of other transgender women. Hello, Yeltsin. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Hello, Diana. Nice to meet you as well. I'm very happy to be here today. I'm very excited because this is a great opportunity to talk about a topic that is very important for education, for society in general. That is gender diversity, and of course we need to be open to these topics, so it's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you very much. And our third conductor is Ángel Cortés. He is also an English teacher in training at Universidad Distrital Francisco José de Caldas. Her research interests stem from her life experience as a gender-fluid transsexual person and her intention to raise awareness of the realities and inequalities of transsexual and transgender people. Hello, Ángel. How are you?
Hello, Diana. I'm doing very fine. Thank you so much for this space you have created for us today. I'm pretty happy and also anxious to be here with you, with the audience. And well, thank you very much.
Awesome. So we're all very excited. It is a pleasure for us to have you with us. And I want to take this opportunity to also say hi to the audience watching us live. How is this week going? Today in Cali, we have the no car and no motorcycle day. So most of us are at home. However, they're taking time to connect from their computers, from their cell phones. They're still tuned in, even though we're not in the university, most of us today. And we definitely want to say, how are you? What's your name? Where are you listening from? What's your major at the university? And if you want to say hi to our conductors, any questions that you may have during the program, we're going to have some parts of the program where we're going to take time to read your comments. Also, we want to invite everyone who is not following us yet. What are you waiting for? Go to Instagram and Facebook and find us at Wow Speaks English. If you want to be part of the radio team, if you are a Wow student, or if you are a student from another university, a professor, anyone around the world is welcome to participate in our program. Send us a message. Let us know what topic would you like to cover with us. When are you available? Can we make this face-to-face? Can we make this virtually? We can make it happen for you, just like we did with Universidad Distrital José Francisco de Caldas. So also, if you want to be part of the team and you're a WOW student, send us a direct message saying why you would like to be part of the team, and we can definitely interview you and consider you. So without further wait, why don't we go to the first section that is called What Do You Think?
Have you ever wondered what other people think about stuff? Do you also want to express your opinion? Imagine if you can hear what others have to say. Well, that is why we created this section. Welcome to What Do You Think About It?
So guys, in your opinion, for us to create a new section called What Do You Think About? So in this section, we invite you please to write your opinion about a specific topic. We invite you to participate in the chat using complete sentences to express your opinions and to express your reasons about the topic that we have for today.
That's right, Yeltsin. And the question of today is, what do you think about gender diversities in Colombia, Colombian society, and in our educational context? Please tell us in the comments, and while you give us the answers in the chat, we have our team member Karen Camargo asking this question to people around the campus of Universidad Distrital in Bogota. Let's listen to their opinions, and let's now connect with Karen.
Let's watch the videos of the interviews. Let's go for it.
Hello, good morning. My name is Karen Camargo, and today we are here on campus at the Universidad Distrital Francisco José de Caldas. Today we have such an important question for our students, and the question is, what do you think about gender diversities in our Colombian society and also in the educational context?
Okay, about gender diversity in Colombia, I consider that we exist. Queer people exist in Colombia, but we are being really oppressed right now because of the heteronormativity, the patriarchy that has the power in Colombia. And regarding the school, the educational context, we have also been oppressed. We have also been left We have been left aside because our education has been based in the religion, and in the religion God created women and men to be together, and there is nothing else besides that. So I think that is really important for us to start talking about these kind of topics in schools, because we need to start creating a sense of belonging in teenagers, also in kids, so they can know that if they feel different from a man or a woman, they can be whatever they want or how they feel.
Okay, I think that gender diversity has been hidden for a long time, but now the teenagers started to vote the change that they were carrying. And I think that in the teaching practicum is important to open those spaces for them to express themselves, to exist, because if you exist in a comfortable way, you can learn better. Yeah.
Okay, I think that there exists an archetypes in our society that shade the diversity into the school. And it's important here in our society, in our educational process, to include the diversity context to learn English, not since just language or since a box language, since the being a human being.
Okay, what I think about gender diversity here in Colombia and also in the educational context is addressed to my experience. Because in my case, until the last year, I came out as a non-binary trans person and I realized that gender diversity was invisibilized. What is out from the norm of men and women? So there are always male and female bathrooms. We assume heterosexuality as the norm, also cisnormativity, and this is very hard for many people that is going through the same situation as I was going as well. Also, older people, for example, my dad, think this is just something trending and temporarily. And now I'm in another environment as the university, and I feel there's more diversity at sometimes, but we still avoid to talk about this topic. For example, the bathrooms are still male and female. Recently, I entered the female bathroom because I feel more comfortable, but the concierge looked at me negatively and told me that that was the female bathroom. I didn't know what to do, and it is something very complex. These type of situations, when, for example, at the entrance they greet at me saying, "Hello, Mrs." and well, why do we have to assume identities? And well, that's it. It is something very complex.
I consider the Colombian educational context a little slightly traditionalist in terms of the discussion of gender diversity in our country, since our country has a religious tradition, a very marked religious tradition. The discussion is not open to students yet, so I consider that the topic will be will be discussed in the future years, and it is a necessity for our education.
Okay, I think there is a reality, not only in Colombia, but also in the world, in our classrooms, in the different universities, institutions of education. I think there is a opened door that we have in this moment to know the different perspectives, the different identities, the different conceptions that people, young people, in most of the cases, about their bodies, their behaviors in different contexts.
So those were their responses, and now we go back to you. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Karen, for such a great job. We love you. And also I want to thank all participants in the interview for those amazing responses. Dianita, Ángel, Yeltsin, do you happen to have any kind of reaction, any comment you want to make before we go to rate the comments we have on our networks?
Okay, well, I think...
I'll go ahead.
Yeltsin can start, then Angel, and then me.
Okay, well, I thought it's very important to ask this type of questions to people in the university, because those are the professionals, and specifically, in this case, the teachers that are going to influence children in the society. So I think that they are very assertive with their responses. I think that they give us interesting opinions, and it's also very surprising and very beautiful as well to me to see that there is also a transgender person in the university, that we are having more trans and diverse people at the universities, and there is also a good opportunity to change the environments, the traditional environments of education.
Yeah, I totally agree. Angel.
Okay, well, I was about to say, I was about to say that for me, it is pretty nice, and I appreciate the fact that people is starting to acknowledge the fact that there's diversity. And well, as one of the guys said, it's something that people try not to talk. Maybe we can be now in spaces like Yeltsin said before, like the university, more people is reaching that goal to be there and to accomplish the degree. But well, as many people have said in the chat, there's still a lot to accomplish, but it's step by step, no?
It's the beginning. Dianita, do you happen to have any reaction before we go to read the comments?
Definitely. Well, I would like to say thank you so much for conducting those wonderful interviews in the university. It was very meaningful and interesting to learn different perspectives. You know, each person is usually busy, like just focusing on their life. And sometimes we just ignore what happens around us. And that knowing how it is to be in other people's shoes and other people's position help us become more respectful, more tolerant, and definitely to be more open-minded, that it is not only black and white. There are different colors in the rainbow, and everyone deserves respect, laws, they have rights. So to learn more about this topic has been very meaningful for me. I have very limited information and limited knowledge, and definitely this has broadened my knowledge and experience towards the topic. So I want to thank you so much, guys, for sharing this information in this topic with me.
Thank you, Anita. I'm going to read a couple of comments, but I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity, my minute of fame, to say hi to Marlon Valencia. He's connecting from York University in Canada. He's a friend of ours, and he's a colleague. I want to say hi to people at Única University here in Bogota, and many others who are commenting really good things on the chat. So the question was, what do you think about gender diversities in Colombian society and in our educational system? I'm going to read a comment made by Angélica Beatriz Otero. She says that it has improved compared to other times. However, there is still a lot of exclusion, and I think it has also a lot to do with the culture of each locality. Interesting. She brings the topic of exclusion, inclusion, this duality we have. I'm going to take one more, and maybe if you guys want to pick up other, that would be amazing. I'm going to take the one made by Jesus. Hi, Jesus. He says that we are developing the country, but we have made progress in understanding gender diversity. What is that progress we have made is very interesting, like to begin thinking about the sense or the meaning we've constructed around the idea of diversity. Jel, Ángel, Danita, do you happen to have any comment you want to bring to our conversation you found interesting?
There's a comment made here, made by Alejandra Garcia. Well, actually, we have one for Valerie. We can go back to that one if you want. And he says, it is very different compared to other years, but there is more support for the same. So at least things have improved compared to other comments before. Let's see what other comment do we have that we can read. Victor G says, I really think that each person is free and we're all equal. So we don't see anything different from me. I don't see anything different from me. Thank you, Victor, for that beautiful comment. And we invite everyone to write your opinion. If you have some questions for our conductors, you can be writing them there in the comments, and we're going to take some time later on to read them. Last comment so far, we're going to read it from Xbone Gamer. And that was, I think that we are all the same. Thank you for your comment. And I think, guys, that we are ready for our next section, and that is the Tip Talk.
Many things happen every day at the U. Let's discuss them at Tip Talk.
Okay, hey everyone, welcome to our Tip Talk section. Today, our topic is gender diversity, as you well know. You should also know that at the end of the show, we are going to check how much attention you have been paying throughout the program. So we are going to play a question game. So make sure that you stay tuned and that you also take notes if you consider it. So, well, let's start.
Exactly, Angel. So I would like to open this conversation by asking you that are listening to us right now, if you think that it is important or not to talk about gender diversity in Colombian society, but especially in education. It seems like in education, we're just like ignoring the topic, or we're just letting it go by. And that is the question that we want to ask you today. Do you think is it important or not, and why? Remember to use complete sentences, as many details as you can give us, so that we can read those comments later on. Right, Diego?
Right. And shall I begin like commenting on the question?
Definitely. Let me know what you think.
It seems to me that diversity is not a new topic in education, at least. However, diversity has been a term to name differences. I mean, it means more than just acknowledging or tolerating difference. And I have to confess that for years, this idea of tolerance has been conflicting to me. In the English teaching field, this term has been used as an euphemism, I would say, to incorporate bodies and identities that have been invisible in education. However, in this moment, I'm thinking of diversity as possibilities of living. Now you make me remember a TED Talk I recently ran into. Brigitte Batiste was person speaking in this TED Talk, and she was speaking about this idea of there is nothing queerer than nature. Nature is the queerest thing we have, and it's natural. So the possibilities of diversity are infinite. However, in society, this definition brings to the table this idea of advantages, disadvantages of some people over the others. And in the Colombian context, for example, there have been legal advances, we have to acknowledge that, for sexual and gender diversity, but there are still, as people mentioned on the chats, we are still far from being truly accepted in society, and far from being from having a decent and equal access to work and health. But I guess we've made progress, and that's something we need to continue working on inside and outside our classrooms.
I totally agree, Diego. Thank you for that point of view. But in my head, I'm here wondering if we could say that we need to think of diversity as a human category, or do you think that diversity does not entail this human side?
It does. Totally. We have to speak about this human side. The problem I see, from the academy, my position now, is that the idea of man and human was something created long ago, even in the Renaissance, to separate, to differentiate what is human and what is non-human. And that's why I said before that I would rather think of diversity from the diversity of living beings as equal and worthy of living. And the conversation would be better. I guess we could detach from this idea of these huge categories, for example, we have in the academy, that sometimes intend to create hierarchies. And maybe that's why this idea of human diversity as a human component, for me, it's a little bit conflicting. I have no idea what you think, guys, but that's how I read the concept per se.
Okay, well, I want to take this opportunity to ask Angel, where do you stand on this? Do you agree with Diego, or you may have a different interpretation as a fluid gender transsexual person? I want to know your opinion.
Okay, well, my opinion maybe is not such an academic as Diego's one. Mine is more based on personal experience and experiences from close people to me. So yeah, I consider that in educational context, there is a lack of education regarding this, the sexual diversity, gender diversity, and I consider that this is a huge fact, considering the violences that these populations have to face. So I think that, yeah, it's a pretty huge factor regarding this.
Okay, Angel, I also want to ask you, what do you think is happening to the schools regarding this situation?
Okay, well, as we know, these academic spaces, such as the school, the university, there are places where people are supposed to learn to not only specific knowledges, for example, engineering, maths, but also to understand diversity of people, people who is around them, or maybe people who will be near to them. So I consider that if in these spaces where we are supposed to understand better the otherness, nobody tells us about the realities, the challenges, the violences that these people, that yeah, our people and these communities have to face day a day, maybe they won't even consider that these violences are real. Yeah, so I consider that that's why in different contexts, in different scenarios of the regular life, there are a lot of discriminating practices against these populations.
So it's a matter of people thinking like, okay, no, this only happens in movies, this doesn't happen in real life. And then when you actually go into context, the situation is even worse. So, Yeltsin, have you gone through a similar experience?
Yes, and actually, I was remembering some of the experiences I have had in my life, especially in education. When I was at school, and as a transgender woman, I have gone through many violent episodes in my life. I remember, for example, when I was at primary school, it was really challenging because I was a feminine boy. Boys are not supposed to be feminine, which is for me very senseless because boys and children in general and girls, they have to be where they want to be, and they are just children enjoying this beautiful stage of our lives. They should play with the toys they want to play, they should wear the colors they want to wear, but these senseless restrictions for me isolate me from other classmates, isolate me from my family as well. And I remember also when I was not in primary but in secondary school, I had some friends. These friends of mine acknowledged me as a guy, as a gay boy. But then when I told them that I needed to transition, that for me it was important to transition because I realized I was a transgender woman, I didn't have that support. So I think that all these experiences would have changed if we would have like education, or at least teachers or people at the school trying to raise awareness about these topics. So yeah, definitely it's important to talk about gender diversity at schools.
And Yeltsin, this was the situation in high school. But then what happened when you graduated and went into university? What happened next?
Okay, well, I think that it didn't change much. Didn't change much. Surprisingly, I came here to Bogota because I wanted to transition, and I leave my hometown, which was Popayán. And I came here thinking I was going to transition in a safe space as university is supposed to be. And well, I realized that it was not, that many teachers would reject the idea of acknowledging me as a woman. For example, I have some teachers who divided the classroom, which is again senseless, into women and men. And of course, I wanted to be in the female spaces, but they were like, no, you're a man and you have to be in this other position, otherwise this is going to have consequences in your rights, for example, which is senseless for me. For example, to divide a class into women and men to develop an exam or a test or something like that, because the gender does not have to do anything with academic grades or workshops or things like that. So yeah, I think that all these experiences have really affected me a lot, especially emotionally, because I have been isolated as well. And also at the university, that you think there is a space where people can support you. Actually, I have seen lately many movements that are in the name of feminism, in the name of other movements. They think that transgender person are like dangerous for children, dangerous for women, that we promote gender stereotypes. So at the end of it is still the same. And yeah, I think that is very important to raise awareness about gender and inclusion, but a critical inclusion, a critical perspective.
Yeltsin, what do you mean when you say a critical position?
I mean that when we say critical, we refer to an inclusion in which all we are have a equal relationship of powers, not only accepting trans people in this case in the universities, but rejecting them and segregating them in specific spaces at the university, because that would not be inclusion, that would be something like integration. And also it is important that people at the university understands that trans people have different challenges regarding access to health, regarding access to a job. And so many times people think that we are just diverse, that we are just exotic, that they don't think that behind us there is like a lot of story of discrimination, of losing opportunities just because we are diverse. So yeah, I say critical because it's not just including us as a part of the university, but understanding the problems that are behind our histories.
And I definitely think what you have said is key. It is not to be included, it's to be integrated as equals. It's not just like this group, and I'm going to kind of put you together with this group, but to be all articulated and integrated. Thank you, Yeltsin, for that experience. I'm so sorry you have gone through such difficult moments, but I think that definitely that those experiences have made you stronger as an individual. Nobody should go through those traumatic experiences, but you're doing right now something very valuable, and is speaking out, speaking up, and showing everyone why maybe this couldn't happen, or this shouldn't happen to somebody else, or this should stop happening at least. Let's take some time now, Diego, Yel, Angel, so that we can read some of the comments because our comments section is exploding with comments. So why don't you, Angel, help me read the question that we have right here with Carlos, Larry, and Andres?
Yes, of course. Give me just a second. I lost it.
We can help you meanwhile if you want.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I can do it. I can
Go
do
ahead.
it.
Go ahead.
Carlos, Larry, and Andres say, of course, sexual orientation and gender identity develop from a very early age, and for that reason, parents, teachers, and institutions need to be prepared in order to help queer children. Interesting.
Thank you. Let's
Super.
go with the next one. Alejandro Perez says, for decades, we have dodged the conversation about gender diversity out of fear and ignorance. Not only do we have to talk about it, but we need to involve education as a transformation agent. Do you know this person, Diego?
I
Alejandro
do.
Perez?
I
That's
do.
why you
He's
reacted?
a friend of mine, and he is a teacher educator at Única University in Bogota. It's one of those friendly universities we have, and it's amazing for me to know he is actually listening to us from his university.
Okay, so hello to Alejandro. And maybe, Jill, can you read the next one about Stefan?
Yes, it is very important to talk about it, not only for mutual acceptance and respect, but also to be informed, to know and identify if you belong to this community.
And we have one more from Isabella. She says, yes, it is very important because this helps people to have much more knowledge about gender diversity. Thank you guys for your comments. We're going to have some other time to continue reading them later on. And right now, so do you want to know where I stand on this topic, guys?
Yes, of course, it's important that you can let us know your opinion as well, Diana.
Okay, well, definitely what I think is that diversity means variety. Difference, it means a wider spectrum of possibilities without any kind of classification. I stand on the philosophy that I have respect for all living things, no matter how they are and where they're coming from. Everyone deserves respect and deserves to live a happy life. That is the end of it. That is the conclusion out of everything, right?
Thanks for that lovely opinion. And well, I would also like to add something about this topic, and it's the concept of intersectionality. Probably at this moment we are just thinking the diversity in terms of gender and sexuality, but it's also important to understand it in terms of intersectionality, which means that through our human experiences, there are different categories that address to our experience living in different contexts. So, for example, there is not only about being for example, in my case, transgender, but also my race. In my case, for example, I'm not a black transgender woman. If that would be the case, my experience probably would have been very different, much more difficult, I will have to say. So we also have to consider all other categories, all these other categories that have to do with diversity as well. So, for example, age, sexual orientation, religion, where we are coming from. For example, if you are an immigrant, and all these categories and experiences defines your life in a determined path where you may experience violence or not. And that's why we have to recognize those categories to understand also the privilege we have, and also to understand that it's not very simple as you are gay or just a woman, but it's important to consider other categories that define human experience.
Okay, so well, I guess that intersectional perspective can also be seen in education. For example, I think of a black lesbian woman. So there are so many different combinations, and we're all the time just categorizing one or two without having in mind the different situation that each person may have. Right, Angel?
Yeah, that's totally right, Diana. So what is valuable about diversity from that perspective is the experience that emerges from its intersection. So now, if I may, I would like to add something to what Yeltsin just said. I hold the view that something that is pretty important to analyze is how gender diversity takes place in the education, especially in BA programs in Colombia. So Yeltsin mentioned something about her case, being transgender individual, whose rights have been violated. However, I want to share with you some recent experiences that we had at the teaching practicum space that we had.
Of course, Angel. So let us know how you felt during this practicum stage.
Okay, well, I would have wanted it to be a little different space because I consider that it wasn't the safest place for me, for example, to socialize the way I would have loved to, because it is pretty hard to be dissident more, for example, I think gender, when you have to show with social elements that help you socializing, for example, in my case, sometimes as a woman. So, for example, it was hard because we had to face different publics. We had to face publics mainly all people, parents, other teachers, coordinators, and well, it is pretty hard because many of them have the imaginary in their head that we, as trans, gay, whatever, we want to influence their kids to become like us. So, well, as I was mentioning, as a fully gender person, I would have loved to, for example, go dressed with these blouse, or with a dress, or with a skirt. But I could notice that for many teachers, that would have been pretty, I don't know, disrupting in the environment. So, well, as I know that my corporality is more masculine than feminine, I was so afraid of that to get problems with any teacher, with any coordinator, with any parent, and that at the end I wouldn't have been able to finish the practicum space, that the school wouldn't allow me to go back there. But well, yeah, at least I had a nice teacher who was my homeroom teacher, but the rest was kind of rough, I would say.
Okay, well, definitely, I think what happens is the common belief of being afraid of what you don't know, or being afraid of what is different, and to judge a book by its cover, make very quick judgments without knowing the situation, without getting to know the person, without being informed on the topic. So when you were in that situation, Angel, did you try to raise awareness about these problems at your school?
Yes, of course I tried. For example, there were like two main spaces. The first one I want to talk about was a little shocking for me because the school asked us to, my classmates and I, to give a gender talk to the teachers, this in order to sensibilize them on their teaching practices to make the environment safer for queer students. But some teachers, they didn't want to hear us. They were more like wanting to fight back and to tell us why what we were proposing wasn't significant for them. So for them and for their students. Well, they comment something which was really, I don't know, disrupting in my head, was like, what? Because they said that as we were not experts on the topic, the gender and sexual topic, they wouldn't take into consideration what we were telling them. But then I was like, okay, so who are the experts on the topic? Does it have to be an academic, someone who is coming just to take our narratives, someone who maybe is not interested in helping these communities, but more into getting some kind of economic or academic profit? So I was like, okay, so do I have to tell you that I am an academic and that I have made, I don't know, many researches on the topic for you to take into account my experiences, the experiences my friends have had, and people I love had suffered? So I was like, no. And well, I also tried in another space, as I told you before. I was with my homeroom teacher. She was pretty nice to me. I could talk to her and be sincere in many ways. So she saw how I was, and she liked the fact that I could talk to the kids about that, because she was aware that there were many students who were starting to identify themselves or to come out as, for example, gay, lesbians, bisexual, and there were also some kids who were starting to show like some dissidents in the gender. So she liked that, and she allowed me to, and I consider that that was pretty reaching for my experience and as well for her and for the kids that could work with me.
So well, at the end, definitely it was very important that you found someone that had the respect, tolerance, and support that you deserve, and that help that you needed to feel a little bit more at home at your job place. I can't imagine how uncomfortable that was, but definitely we're learning from all these experiences, and that you're here speaking up and telling your experience, telling what happened, so maybe other people can take advantage of this information and things could improve and change for everyone. There's so much that there's left to say, but unfortunately our time is running a little bit short. So Teacher Diego, we're gonna jump into our next section, right?
Yeah, why don't we go and listen to some guest experts on the topic, and maybe we can get more extra ideas on this notion of diversity we have. Yel?
Yes, in this case, we have Professor Castañeda and also Professor Jonathan Delgado, who were asked to participate in this program today, and they were going to answer their perspectives about some questions that we proposed to them. So let's listen to them.
Hello, everybody. Well, this is the question. Is it important to speak about gender diversity in Colombian educational institutions? Well, I guess like the answer is a big fat yes, of course. This is something that we need to do. The conversation has been opened. I believe that in Colombia, the first research article that was published seriously thinking of the intersection between gender diversity and language learning, it was published in 2004. So it's been like 18 years in which we have been talking about gender diversity and ELT in our field. But I think we have been a little bit shy about that. So the conversation has been opened. It needs to continue to be discussed permanently, because gender diversity is a term that is now so widely used, frequently used, but therefore it is also difficult to grasp the meaning because it has got contradictory meanings. So let's talk about gender diversity, but let's clarify the terms of the conversation. This is because it is not the same to be gender diverse in Bogota compared to being gender diverse in a rural town in Colombia, or in the Pacific or Atlantic coasts, or in El Valle, in Cali, etc. So it is not the same to be gender diverse if one studies engineering or if one studies modern languages. So my answer to this is yes, but let's clarify the tense of the conversation.
I consider that there are many things that can be done to reduce gender-based violence. For instance, one of the most common causes of this is the reproduction of ideologies of discourses that we get from the mass media, even from material that we might use for teaching. So the first thing that we have to do is, well, we cannot avoid receiving violent material. That's something that will continue happening in society. So what we need to do is to discuss with students this kind of content that's in social media, to have to create spaces of debate so that they can have a position regarding this, that they can put themselves in the shoes of other people, of those who are suffering this kind of violence, to see that everybody should have a voice, that we are human beings, no matter what gender they are identifying with.
I think universities have a lot to do, but the university is an institution that is made out of people, us, students, teachers, university administrators, etc., like everybody. So in general, universities need to build living conditions for all. Campuses need to be friendly to all people who live there, because we live in the university. So this is why gender diversity could be part of everyday life at the university. And when I'm saying this, I don't mean, for example, that this is not simply to celebrate every June, for example, the Day of Gender Diversity, and make gays, lesbians, and trans students or teachers like something exotic, okay? I'm not against the celebration. I think the celebration needs to be addressed differently. Because this is simply, like showing off, like being politically correct. In this university, we do accept diversity, etc., etc. So I think what is important in terms of university life and welfare is to raise awareness constantly. This is paramount to achieving a university that is equitable and heterogeneous at the same time. I have been observing what teachers of English do, for example, and that is precisely one of their practices. There is much reflection to raise awareness, and then after this awareness is raised, this is very conducive to actions of all sorts.
Because I consider that, well, at the beginning or many years ago, when we were talking about gender diversity, we were moving just a little bit beyond the binary dichotomy of male versus female. And, well, it was just, well, gender and sexual diversity was not quite considered. And it's not only about sexual preference that a person might have, or how this person might feel represented in the world, but it's also stories. We need to listen to stories. When we make those realities more visible, we might start to understand the suffering of others. If we start listening, we're gonna see that, yeah, there have been probably some situations of violence they are dealing with. We somehow can become a little bit more, we can get closer to them, and we can somehow create a better social environment, and better and more tolerant spaces in the class, and, well, in our daily lives.
Okay, guys, well, I want to take a moment to say thank you to Professor Delgado and Dr. Castañeda for giving us that very meaningful and valuable information regarding the topic, and talking about the different concerns, answering the different questions. So we want to know, what do you think about the insights that these two guests gave us during their interviews? Additionally, we want to take some time to read your comments because we have been asking you some questions. The first question was, how can we have a safer space and a safer place within universities for diverse individuals? And the other question that we have already some answer there is, how can we integrate diverse individuals in educational scenarios? And we have some different comments regarding that question here at the end. So we want to read Angie Valentina Patiño. She says, it is very important to educate children from an early age to recognize that we're all equal. This can be done through playful activities. Yes, Angie, definitely. Thank you for your important and interesting comment. What other comments do we have, Diego?
Let me see. Okay, should I choose one?
The one that is on the screen right now from Valerie.
I don't say it. Okay, let me read it. Okay, Valerie says that promoting equality above all in any situation. We gotta continue promoting equality.
Okay.
Excellent. We have one comment made by Carlos Alberto Ruiz. He says that providing information that promotes respect for others, acceptance of diversity, and above all, promoting, again, equality. Two people mentioned like the same idea.
That's the key word right now, equality.
And we have one more by Victor again. Victor has been very active. And he says, talking to new societies to cultivate acceptance. And this is in this way, there will be no bullying. Interesting.
Okay. And at the end, we have two new comments talking about safer places, universities being a safe place for everyone. And we already have some comments from Ana Carolina, from an avatar said futbolero, and another one from Valerie Gaviria. Let's take some minutes to read those last comments that were made there. So Valerie says, we should create activities, give talks, exercises in which we all know that we're sure from there you can teach to respect anyone. Thank you, Valerie, for that comment. And from Futbolero 475, he says, depend on the managers and its students. Thank you very much. So, guys, it's been a pleasure to learn from all this information, to share this information with you. This conversation definitely must continue at another time in a different part, in a different section. For now, we're going into the last section of our program where we test how much attention you were paying. And we're going to ask you 5 multiple choice questions in our next section called Get It Right.
Games, trivia, and a lot of fun. All you gotta do is get it right.
So let's welcome this section, Angel.
Okay, well, as we got short of time, there's gonna be a little change, but well, in this section, as we told before, you had to answer. We had in mind 5 multiple choice questions, where we invite you to tell us in the comments which is the correct answer for you. So let's start with the Get It Right, and well, good luck. I hope we also have good luck with these changes.
Okay, so what is question number 1? Who's going to read it?
I can do it, and this. Oh, this can be a tricky question for the audience, but I guess it's very important the way it is presented. So the question is, what could be, and what is the constitutional judgment that ruled in favor of a trans student? We didn't speak about it, but we've had lots of info on the media, especially because of a couple of cases we've had. If you happen to know what the answer is, you can put it under your comments, and we are going to tell you what that constitutional judgment is.
So let's go immediately into the answer, or we're going to wait a few seconds to try to get some guesses.
Okay, let's see if we have any kind of comment. We do have A. Juliana Velasco says A. She says the constitutional judgment is T562 And yeah, that's true. That was a judgment issued in 2013, and I think it's very important, like, to keep it in mind, especially because back in the time it happened in Medellin to someone whose name was Kim Zuluaga, and she was able to get the constitutional court ordered the school to allow her to dress with her uniform in class. So if you want to see more about that information, you can go and read that constitutional judgment. Oof, everybody got the right
Everyone got it
answer.
right.
Amazing.
Very good.
Great, I like it.
So let's go with question number 2. If you want, I can go ahead and read it.
Go ahead.
That is, what is the percentage of transgender women who finish secondary school at Bogota? So we have 3 options. A, 50% of them finish secondary school. B, 85%. And C, 39%. Let's see. We're going to wait a few seconds for some people to start answering. We already have...
They continue with A.
I think they're just answering right now C.
Okay, yeah.
39%. Wow, that is really low. I thought it
very
was
low.
it was probably going to be like 50%, but everyone's aiming for C. So
Well,
what is the right answer, guys?
The right answer is
Thanks,
39%
Sophia.
of transgender women. In my research project to graduate from social communication, I developed a study here in Bogota, and part of the sources that I got were from Secretaría Distrital de Planeación, la OCDE, which is an international organization. And well, I compiled all this information, and I realized that 39% of transgender women finish secondary school, which is very low in comparison to the general population in Bogota, which is 70%. So yeah, 70% of the general population or cisgender population finishes secondary school in Bogota, but only the 39% of transgender women finishes school, which is very challenges for trans women in general to access to education. And even you cannot imagine, for example, how it would be to access to higher or a university education.
Exactly. Without your high school diploma, I mean, your journey stops right there on education. You may not go into university, finding a job, you cannot get a professional job. So definitely that is the beginning of many things that happen after that.
Yeah.
Let's go with question number 3. Who's going to read it?
Me?
Go ahead.
Okay. Throughout the Meteosis Foundation, led an event to speak about discrimination and sexual and gender inequality. This event is called A, Universidad Diversa, B, All About Diversity, or C, Many Problems with Diversity. So you can let us know in the comments what answer you think the correct.
Okay.
So the Mutheus Foundation.
Yeah, foundation.
Okay, so you guys had wow. If you didn't know that foundation existed, you know now. And people are saying
Okay,
B, all about diversity. Is that the right answer?
We have John Janer saying it's B. Most of people go for B. However, Danita, what is the response?
Let's go into the next slide and find out. The response is Universidad Diversa.
Okay.
So that was the right answer, guys. Sorry you didn't get that right, but now you know, and you will get it right later, or you will know who to contact in case that you need support.
Okay. I'm going to go with question number 4 because of time. And this is something we didn't say, but still it's something that was up in the air in 2014. In 2014, what happened? The question is, what happened in 2014 that changed the panorama of gender violence in Colombia? A, there was a violent manifestation in pro of the rights of diverse individuals. B, Sergio Urrego committed suicide. C, more than 20 people were victims of discrimination during a public event. Go on the comments and let us know what you think the answer is, A, B, or C. Jefferson says B. Andres Rodrigo says B. So what do you think, guys, the answer is?
Well, I'm gonna go with the crowd.
With the manifest B? Okay, yeah, totally. Let's go with the next slide. And yeah, people know what happened in 2014. The case of Sergio was a case that actually was very touching. We saw how people at school, stakeholders, committed violence that made him commit suicide. From that moment on, the panorama of the country changed regarding gender-based violence. Okay, and we have one more final question, Jel, if you want to go with the final question.
Okay, yes, the final question is what can be understood as gender diversity? We have three options. The first one is it can be a set of conscious practices. The second option is it can be related to recognizing that personal, cultural, and institutional discrimination creates and sustains privileges. And C, A and B are possible.
Okay, let's see what people are saying on the comments. We have Sutter, ROD, saying it's C. And Angie says it's B. We have Carlos with C, but the answers are, let's go with the next slide, C, because A and B are possible. It can be a set of conscious practices, but also diversity, gender diversity can be related, not only related, but recognizing that personal, cultural, and institutionalized discrimination creates certain privileges. Okay, so Dianita, those were the responses for our quiz in our section Get It Right.
Okay, guys, well, thank you so much for having this collaborative episode that was planned by Diego, Yeltsin, and Ángel, and we did a wonderful team. We had different meetings where we checked the information, we rehearsed, and I think everything came out really nicely. I think that these kind of programs should happen more often because these kind of topics definitely are important. And many people are not aware of current situations, or maybe they're just misinformed. How can they contact you in case that they want to have support from you? They want to have more information regarding everything that we talked about today. What would be the channel where people in the audience can get in touch with you, or with the seedbed, or I don't know, you guys tell me what would be the best way?
Janita, we have an official website that was given to us by Universidad Distrital. That is our website, like the website that belongs to our seedbed, our semillero. And if you go to that website, you can find our institutional address, and you can easily send a message to the group of students like us, or you can send a message to any of the members, and we are going to be returning any message and be contacting you, because our interest is like to broaden our collaboration with different universities and individuals, like to make this topic more visible for everybody in Colombia.
And what is the name of the website?
You can Google it as INCOPRA. INCOPRA is like the acronym for Internautas, Contextos y Prácticas. You can easily go to Universidad Distrital, Francisco José de Caldas, Licenciatura en Inglés, Facultad de Ciencias y Educación, and you can have those like entries on Google, and you can easily locate our website, INCOPRA, which is again the contraction for Internautas, Contextos y Prácticas, and you will find a very beautiful image of our team, all the members of our group, like waiting for your comments and your interest in creating conversation.
Okay, all right. So we'll be posting more information regarding the website so that you can have access. This has been everything for today. Thank you for connecting, for your comments. And Ángel, Yeltsin, and Diego, it was a pleasure having you in our program. Come back anytime. Maybe next time we will participate in something related to your programs and events over there. So this conversation has to keep going. Remember, guys, in the audience, if you are a WOW student, you should fill out the attendance that you have in the description of the program, or we have been posting the QR code for you to scan it and complete the attendance so that you can get those extra points. So that has been everything for today. WOW Speaks English. Do you? Bye-bye, everyone.
Welcome to WOW Speaks English, a radio program made by students for the world.